Hello everyone, today we're learning about Mציעא Daf Nun Tes. Says the Gemara, we're going to start Nun Ches and base the last line. Omar Rabba bar bar Chana, Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Noach lo le'odom sheyovoi al sofik ishes ish v'al yalbim pnei chaveru barabim. It's better to be over issa of sofik ishes ish and not to embarrass his friend in public. Minole, how do we know this? With the Dorash Rova. From the Joshua Rova, the Dorash Rova, my dichsiv was pshat in the Pasuk. It's a Pasuk in Tehillim, V'tzali somchu v'nesofu, koru v'lo domu. Omar David ifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono shel olam, golu v'yodua lefonecha, she'im mikarim b'sori, if it cut my meat, lo oyo domi shoises la'oretz, my blood wouldn't come out. V'lo yoid, even more so, ela afilu b'shah she'oiskim b'negoyim v'oilos, when they're learning Torah, urmimli, they would say, David abol eishesish misosoi b'ma, what does he get killed? David did such a vera with a story with that he went to Bathsheba. And it's a Sofek eishesish, Rashi explains, because they would give a get when they'd go out to war. And if the person would die, the get would be Chalem Afreya. And I tell them, misosoi b'chenek, someone who sleeps with the eishesish, he gets chenek. He has part in the next world. Someone who embarrasses in public, like what you're doing to me and asking me what's my punishment, doesn't have place in the next world. Malzutra Baratuvia Omar Rav Amrlo Omar Rav Chana Bar Bizna Omar Rab Shimon Chasida Amrlo Omar Rab Yochanan Mishum Rab Shimon ben Yochai. All this in the name of Rab Shimon ben Yochai. That there's different shittas who said it, but the last shit is that it's better for a person to put himself in a fire and die, better than embarrassing his friend in public. How do we know this? From the story of Toma, so what was the story over there? Yehuda thought she was a Zoina, and he had relations with her, and she got pregnant, and then Yehuda never knew she's pregnant from him, and she thought that she was Mizane. So he sent her to get burnt, and she, instead of saying she had the proof that was him, and she could have pulled out the proof, the things he gave her, and say, everyone, look who it's from Yehuda, and then Yehuda would be very embarrassed. She didn't do that. What did she do? She sent the proof to her father-in-law, to Yehuda, and she said, if he'll admit from himself, very good. And if not, I'll get burnt. So why? Because she didn't want to embarrass him. So we could see that it's better to get burnt than to be malbim pnei chaveroi barabim. Omar Rav Chanana, brother of Idi, my dichsiv, what's pshat in the pasuk, v'lo yisoinu is amisoi. So we darshaning amisoi is am itoi. Im she'itcho, but Torah mitzvahs al tuneu. Someone who keeps Torah mitzvahs, you shouldn't embarrass him. Omar Rav, lo'olam ye'odom zoir b'onas ishtoi. A person should be careful not to embarrass to make his wife sad. Because a woman very easily can cry from what her husband tells her, so she gets offended easily. And also kroiva means, Rashi says, lovoi puronus, to get punished for making her sad. The man tells his wife, you're stupid, you're ugly, any bad words. It's very, very bad, because she'll be offended, very offended, much more than someone else telling her that. And she'll cry. And then Hashem will punish her husband. So it's very, very bad. Omar Rabbi Lozom, Yom Shenichar Beis HaMikdash, from when the Beis HaMikdash got destroyed, Ninolu Shari Tefillah, the gates of Tefillah got locked. Shenemar, it says in the Pasuk, Gam ki ezak ve'shavea, even if I scream and I beg, Shosan Tfilosi, he won't accept my Tefillah. V'afal pi sheshari Tefillah ninolu, even though that Tefillah, the gates of Tefillah got closed, Shari T'mois lo ninolu, but if you cry to Hashem, has a strong power. Shenemar, Shimo Tfilosi Hashem, v'shavosi azino el dimosi, to my tears, al techrash, don't be quiet. V'omar Rav, Anyone who follows his wife's advice, Neufel begehenim. He falls to Gehenna. We will continue. Anyone who follows his wife's advice falls to Gehenna. Don't be like Achov. And the Pasuk continues, he says, that he followed Izevel Ishtoi because she gave him bad advice. People say, even if your wife's dwarf, she's very small, not tall, Gochin, bend over, and listen to what for advice. So you should listen to a woman's advice. When it comes to things to do with the household, listen to your wife. When it comes to other things, don't listen to your wife. Another way of answering is depends. If it's to do with milid ishmai mitzvahs, go after what you think, and if it's to do with other things, follow your wife. And there's a famous story about the rabbi and his wife that they always used to argue what's milid ishmai. When it came to schooling, the wife said it's your choice because it's what school is going to go, it's what chinuch is going to get, and he said no, it's your choice, depends what maths he's going to learn, etc., etc. Each one gave the other one the power to decide. All the gates of tefillah got locked except of oino. If someone gets embarrassed and he cries about it, Hashem listens to him. Hashem standing on the wall, biyodei anoch, and in his hands are anoch. And we're learning that biyodei anoch means oino, that he's coming to pay back to the one who did oino. Everything Hashem pays with a messenger. If someone embarrasses someone, Hashem pays him by himself. In the hands of Hashem, he comes to pay off someone who did oino. Gimel. 3 types of things. In a paragoid, the curtain between Hashem and the Malachim nina bifneim. Oino v'gever v'avodah zarah, meaning these 3 things, embarrassing someone and stealing and avodah zarah, Hashem sees it in front of him all the time. Oino d'chsivu v'yodei anoch, it's in his hand all the time. Gezel d'chsiv chomos v'shoy dishoma bo al ponei tomid, it's always in front of me. Avodah zarah d'chsiv ahama machis moisi al ponei tomid, it's always in front of me. So these 3 things, we don't go away in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's clear in front of him that he's upset about it. Amar Yehuda lo'olam yeh adam zoyer b'tavo b'toich beiso, you should make sure that there's food to eat at home. She'ein mirivo metzuya b'toich beiso shel adam elo al iskei tavo. If there's no food at home, there's fights at home. Shene'emar Hashem asom gvulcha shalom. Hashem will give your borders peace. Chelev chitim yasbiach, you'll have food. So we're learning that when you're going to have peace, when you have food. So if you don't have food, you won't have peace, you're going to have fights at home. Omar Papa Aina Damri Inchi. This is what people say. Kimishlam Sari Mikodo Nokish. When you have a barrel full of soirim, when it's empty, that's when the noise starts. That's when the fight comes. And the fight comes. That there'll be food at home. The Jews were only called Dal, like Paul, when they didn't have food. And the reason why Ve'idal, because in the pasuk before that it says because it destroyed all the plants and all the food, and that's why they became Dal. So we could see food is very important. A person should have a lot of respect for his wife. The bracha only comes to his hand, to his house, only because of his wife. How do we know? It says in the pasuk, Avram etiv b'avro. Avram got good because of her. So that means the bracha comes because of your wife. That's where Rava said to the people from Mechuzah, have respect to your wives. They should become rich. And my father always says, don't remember in the name of who, that it says, Al tiroish, al tiroki yashirish. Don't be jealous when you see someone's rich, because he respected his wife, and that's why he's rich. And you could also do the same, just respect and give a lot of respect to your wife, and you'll also be rich. And Rav Nachman explains that a person's like a tree, and the branches of the tree are like his wife. And what comes out of the branches, the peiros, the fruit, that's his children that literally come from your wife, and also the fruit are also money that you live with, and that also comes from your wife's koyach. No, so it says over there, it's talking about a tanur. A tanur is a oven. Normally it would be one piece, and here we're talking about we made it from a small pieces. And he connected the chulios with sand. The question is there a keli now or is there no keli? Because today that something should be mikabel tuma, it has to be a keli. So shaila over here, is there a keli or not? So the other machloikes Rabbi Elazar Metai said it's called Torah, it's not considered a keli. The Chachamim Metamim, they said no, now they put it together with sand, it makes a keli and it mikabel tuma. V'veu tanur shel achnoy, and this is called the tanur of achnoy. Achnoy is a type of snake. It's a snake. My achnoy, says the Gemara, what's a connection? Says the Gemara, Omar Rav Yudah, Omar Shmuel, shekifu dvorim ke'achno, zu, v'timu. That they surrounded it with words, with dvorim, and like a snake, and they were metamerit. Because a snake, it rolls up into like a round circle where like the tail and his mouth is in the same place, like a circle. So they surrounded this oven with lots of dvorim, and Chachamim held its tome. Tone, we learned, Daf Hayomi, and that day, Eishi Rabbi Elazar called Shuvah Shaboilom, he gave Shuvahs to all the tainas of Chachamim. They didn't accept it from him. Omar Lahem, he told Chachamim, Im alocha kamoisi, if alocha is like me, Chorov ve'yochiach, the tree of Chorov will prove, Nekar Chorvim koime me'amo, the tree of the Charuvim moved 100 am of Amrlo, Arba Mois Amma. Some people said they moved 400 amas. Amrlo, Ein Mevim Rayam and Chorov, there's no Raya. Very good, you do a beautiful nest, but that's not proof. Acherabim Latois, and the Torah says Acherabim Latois, we go after the Roiv, and Roiv don't hold like you. If halacha is like me, the stream of the water will prove. They went in the opposite direction, uphill. They told him, you can't prove it. The walls of the Beis Medrash will prove. They started falling in, to collapse. Rabbi Yeshua shouted at the walls, Rabbi Eliezer and us, we're having an argument in halacha. Why are you getting involved? So they never fell all the way. Rabbi Yeshua who told them not to fall. But they didn't get straight again. For the cover of Rabbi Eliezer, and they were slant. They still were slanty. They stayed slanty, but didn't collapse. Shemayim will prove that I'm right. Yotzo Baskoil came out a sound from Shemayim. V'omro, malachem etzel Rabbi Eliezer. Why are you arguing with him? Shaloch kemoise b'chol mokim. Always halachas like him. Omar the Rabbi Shua Raglov, he stood on his leg. V'omar loy b'shemayim he. It's not in the sky. Said the Gemara, my loy b'shemayim he. What does that mean? Omar Rabbi Yirmiyah shekvar nitno Torah me'asinai. The Torah was given already me'asinai, and it says over there, and einonu mashkichim bebaskoil. We don't listen to a baskoil. Whatever it said in the Torah, we follow the Torah. Shekvar kosavto barasinai b'Torah. In the Torah, Hashem wrote, Acher Rabbim la'atois. They follow the Rabbim, and since Chachamim were Rabbim, and the Rabbi Eliezer was a Yochid, you go after Rabbim. Ashkechti Rab Nothon Elio. Rab Nothon met Elio Anovi. Amalei, my Ovid kuchbruchu b'Aishaita. What did Hashem do at this time when they had these big arguments? He was smiling. They won me, even though the really Rabbi Eliezer was correct. But they won me, and it says Acher Rabbim Latois, so you go after Rabbim. And that day, if you call Tara Shatir Rabbi Eliezer, they brought all the tires. Rabbi Eliezer was Matar because of this Tanu Besor from Beish, and they burnt them because they said it's Tomeh, because Rabbi Eliezer was Machsha, and we don't go like him. Venimnu Alov Uburchu, and they counted against him, and the Burchu means Beloshon Saginor, they put him in Cherib. Amru mi elech v'yediu. Who's gonna go tell him this? Who's gonna let him know that he's in Cherib? Amam le Rabbi Akiva, ani elech, let me go. Shema yelech Adam she'inu agun v'yediu. Maybe someone who's not kosher to go will go, and he'll let him know. V'nimtza machrivis kol olam, he'll destroy. Rabbi Eliezer from upsetness will destroy the whole world. Kol olam kol imay also Rabbi Akiva. What did he do? Lov hashchorim, he blew black clothes. V'nisativ shchorim, and he covered himself with black. Yosha lefono berochik arba amos, and he sat in front of him in a distance of 4 amos. That's what you do to someone who's in Cherem. What's different today than every day that you dress differently and you're keeping away from me? Rabbi, I think that the friends are keeping away from you, the chacham are keeping away from you. And the din is that someone gets put in a cherem, he has to tear his clothes. So afu kara god of v'cholatz minolov, Rabbi Eliezer tore his clothes and he took off his shoes. V'nishmat v'yoshav al gabe karka, and he didn't sit on a high chair. Zolgu einov dmois, and his eyes teared. And we said what happens when someone cries. It's a very powerful thing in Shemaim. Loka olam shlish bezeisim, the world got destroyed, a third of all the olives, the shlish bechitim, a third of all the wheat, the shlish besoim, and a third of all the barley. Some people say, af botek shebeyedei ish otofach, even the botek, the dough in the hands of the woman who was making bread got ruined. Tona. Ach godol oyo boyisayim, there was more happened in that day. Shebechol mokom shenosan bo'inav Rabbi Eliezer, wherever Rabbi Eliezer looked, Nisraf got burnt. Rabbi Gamliel was on the ship. A big wave came and it was nearly drowned him. So Rabbi Gamliel said, I think this happened. This is happening. This big wave is happening because of Rabbi Eliezer ben Hukanus. And Rabbi Gamliel was the one who put him in Cherem because he was at Besdin. Omar the Raglov, he stood on his legs, Rabbi Gamliel, on the ship, and he said, V'omar Ribono shel Olam, it's clear in front of you. I didn't do this for my COVID. Not for my family's COVID. I did it for your COVID. That people shouldn't say, oh, I know better than Rabbim. And we know and that should be the din, that when Rabbim hold something, you go after them, and even if the other person's right. And therefore I did it for this, that there shouldn't be machlokes in Israel. Daf Hayomi zafoy. And the sea calmed down, and the ship didn't sink. Ema Shalom, that's her name. The Bitayu de Rabbi Eliezer. She was a wife of Rabbi Eliezer. After the Gamliel, she was Rabbi Gamliel's sister. So basically, Rabbi Eliezer ben Ukanos and Gamliel were brother-in-laws, because Rabbi Eliezer married Rabbi Gamliel's sister. And Gamliel is the one who put Rabbi Eliezer in Cherem. Avoy, she was. From that day on, she never let him to do tachnun and to cry, because she was scared what's going to happen to her brother of Gamliel. One day, it was Rosh Chodesh, so she fought. And she thought, she got mixed up if it's a full month or not full month. So she thought she was not going to do Tachnun, because on Rosh Chodesh you don't do Tachnun, so she wasn't keeping after him. They shouldn't do Tachnun. Some people say, also Ania came a poor person. The Koya Bovan was at the door. She took him out bread. And Ashkechte, and she came back from giving the poor person bread, or she thought it was Rosh Chodesh and really wasn't Rosh Chodesh, and she comes and she sees him, the Nofal and Anpeh, that he's doing Tachnun. Omrle, she told him, Kum, get up, koteltis le'ochi, you're going to kill my brother. Adeochi, meanwhile, Nofak Shipura came out to announcement in Beis Gamliel, the Shochiv, that he died. Omalo minoy odos, he told her, how did you know this? Omrle, ikach mekublani mi Beis Avi Abo, and they come from Beis David, and like we learned before in the Pasuk, Kol Ashorim Ninolu, Chutz Mishara, know that someone who gets embarrassed and he cries about it, Hashem punishes a person who embarrasses him, and here we could see how chomer it is to be mevazeh Talmidei Chachomim, and there's lots of stories in the history of when people were mevazeh Talmidei Chachomim, they got really punished. Tanu Rabbanon learned, a man is a ger, someone who embarrasses a ger over b'shloisha lavim, is over 3 lavim. Soon we're going to see which they are. V'aloitzu, someone who pressures him for money, over b'shnaim, is over 2 lavim. Says the Gemara, Maishno me'ane dichsivi shloisha lavim. Why by me'ane we call it 3? Because there's 3 lavim. V'ger lo yisoyne v'chiyo goris choger b'atzechem lo yisoynu oisu v'lo yisoynu ishes amisoy. V'ger b'chlal amisoy, he's also your friend. So there's 3 lavim for a ger. Who? Also by pressurizing him there's 3 ksivi. It says and ger is also like a normal Jew. So there should also be 3. So the Gemara, someone who embarrasses, who pressures for money when the person doesn't have what to pay, b'shloisha is over 3 lavim. If he does it to a ger. Tani Rabbi Lezer agodol oimer. Rabbi Lezer, the big Rabbi Lezer says, mitnei ma izira Torah in 36 places. But some people say at 46 places beger. Tell you to be careful with ger. So Rashi elsewhere explains that his sar, the one where he comes from, has a lot of power, and you're gonna get punished. My dichsiv. What's pshat in that pasuk? If you have something bad about you, don't say it to your friend. And since every Jew is be'etzem a ger, because we all come from gerim, because we all gerim in Mitzrayim, so it doesn't make any sense to make fun of your friend who's a ger. And that's what people say. The zokifle is a kifa b'diukte, someone who got someone hanged in his family. Don't tell him hang a fish, even though they just mean it to hang the fish to dry out or to whatever it is. Don't use the word hang when he had someone hanged in his family, because it's going to embarrass him, and because it's connected. So therefore also, if you're a ger, every Jew is a ger, don't make fun of a ger. Shkoyach, Good Shabbos.